Okay, celebration. It's 2024. Did we all celebrate? Yay! Okay, I want to start with Jack Groverland, who was the minister of Boulder Unity, told this story years ago. And so I want to share with you. He said, you know, they found the Dead Sea Scrolls in the 40s and 50s. And they wouldn't let just anybody look at them or read them. So they now are being stored in the Israel Museum. But the Pope said, hey, I'm not just anybody. I want to read those. I want to see those. So he traveled to Israel, and he had an entourage with him. And he was going to go down into the basement, the catacombs, whatever, where they're stored. And he told his staff, don't bother me. You know, I'm going to go down there, I'm going to read them, don't bother me. So about 10 minutes later, they start to hear crying. And they go, what's going on? And then they hear sobbing and wailing. And this went on 20, 30 minutes. And they're going, well, he said not to bother him, you know. After 45 minutes, they said, no, we got to go down. So they went down, and they said, Your Holiness, what's wrong? And he goes, the word is celebrate. Celebrate. Don't go forth and be celibate. Okay, I have a disclaimer. This talk is mainly for me. So if you get anything out of it, great. But I need to hear this more than anything. So I don't know how many times I heard toward the end of the year, oh, thank God, 2023 is over. 2024, is it going to be as bad as 2023? And did I miss something? How bad was 2023? I mean, we lost some good people. But really, was it that bad? I'm curious, you know. And I'm so tired of us being negative about a unit of time. I heard 2020 was bad because we had COVID, and then we had George Floyd, the tragedy with that, and then others, and there were riots and protests in the street. Then we had the election and that whole thing. But that was a unit of time. It didn't have anything to do with what happened. So let's look at these years that, hey, 2024 for me is going to be great. And then 2025 is going to be better. Then 2026 is going to be even better. Yeah, okay? So that's how I want to look at it. I'm turning 75, and I have, hopefully, I'm looking at maybe 25 more years left. Hopefully. I want to try to make it to the 100. My mother's line goes into the 90s, so I thought, okay, looks good. I've got my fingers crossed, you know. But how do I want to do it? And any of you that are in your 60s, you know 25 years will go like that. It's going to be gone. So how do I want to celebrate this? Do I want to see each day as, oh my God, another day? Or do I want to celebrate the sunrise, the sunset? And I don't know if you saw the full moon at Christmas. That was beautiful. I want to see as many full moons as possible. Now, I know we have grief and we have sadness, and we have to experience that, and we go through it. But I beg of you, please don't make it your life. Don't make it your identity. Don't wallow in it. We don't want it to take over our time, too much of our time. The grieving and sadness is a necessity, but it helps us to enjoy our happiness too. Now, because I'm 75, the inevitable is happening, and I have taken care of that. I have a lawyer as my power of attorney because my family's kind of do-do-do-do. So the lawyer is going to decide. And I've gone to a funeral place, and I have arrangements made. The body will be cremated and all that and everything. So everything's paid for, everything's decided. Because I think that's one thing, you know, that's the one sure thing we have happening to us. Now, it's my understanding that Dr. Maya Angelou, who passed away a few years ago, that she's a great writer and poet, that she was 86. Her health was starting to fail, but she was in her study getting ready to do a talk in Houston. She was living in South Carolina. And her housekeeper came in to tell her breakfast was ready. She was gone. And I said, universe, that is how I want to go. I want to be coherent. I want to be able-bodied as best as possible. I want to be working on a project, then I want it over, and someone finds me right away, okay? I want to be in my late 90s, preferably, or hundreds, you know. But that's how I want it, and I'm in with the universe, so we got it. We got a connection here. Okay. So I don't know what it was, but, every so often I'd think of that. And I was getting ready to move here, and I was driving down in Longmont. I was driving down 17th Avenue going west, and I went, yeah, I got this connection with the universe, and we're going to do it this way. And I heard, stop. Thank God I was at a stoplight. He said, stop. And he said, think about living. I'll take care of the rest. Focus on living. Yeah. I moved here in the early 70s, and I was in my 20s, early 20s, and there was a group of us, a group of women, and we were very close. And a lot of us worked together, we took trips together, we socialized together. One of our friends her actions became very erratic. We weren't sure what was going on. The way she responded to us wasn't natural. So, some people said, quit eating sugar, become a vegetarian, meditate more. And finally someone said, go see a doctor, a medical doctor. They did a couple of tests. They found out she had a brain tumor. And the brain tumor was one that you couldn't just remove it. It had infiltrated the brain. So they took out as much as they could, but they said this is not gonna, she won't last more than a few years. Her family, a little more dysfunctional than mine. Anyway, one of her brothers came out to talk to us, and we couldn't even communicate. He was on a whole nother level than we were. So we decided we're going to take care of her. And we're getting together. We have a calendar. We've got times. So-and-so's going to be here for lunch. So-and-so's going to get her medicine. So-and-so's going to take her to the doctor, get her laundry done. We're going to take care of this. In the middle of all this, a few weeks into it, one woman was in taking a shower. She came out. Her roommate was on the floor. And she went to revive her. She couldn't. She called 911. They got her breathing again, but they didn't know how long she had gone without any air. What they found is a virus went to her heart, stopped it. She collapsed. No one knew for how long. At first they said her brain waves looked healthy. She might recover, but after a month or so they said no, she would not. And I realized we were so focused on one woman who was dying, we forgot about the rest who are living. And that's what we really need to be aware of. How much time are we giving to? Because it is necessary. We have to make plans and arrangements because things are going to happen. But let's focus on the living. How many flowers did you see today? Did you see the sun? Did you see the snowflakes coming? This to me is a celebration that we really need to have. So, 2024, they talk about New Year's resolutions. Did you make any? Good. But I'm going to ask, please consider 2 resolutions. I'm going to ask this. First one, think about it. Let's eliminate fear in our life. Let's please try to eliminate fear in our life. The Course in Miracles says fear is the absence of God. And whenever we have fearful thoughts, we are not including God. We have eliminated God. Our ego has come forth and taken over. God is love. Please understand, when we have fear, let's replace that with love. And like I say, there isn't a time and place for fear. When we're in danger, there's an accident, a natural disaster, we do have fear and we have to deal with it. It helps us in some situations, but for our lives to be surrounded with it and make it our priority, please reconsider that. Fear divides us. It makes us see each other as others. Like, I have something you want. Or no, you have something I want. And we're going after it. And I hate to say this, but it's really prevalent right now. You know that I'm political. So it's really prevalent right now. I'm saying on both sides, using fear. And please, let's rise above that. Let's not make that our priority. I've heard people define themselves as God-fearing Christians. I don't know how you do that. I didn't come from traditional religion. I don't know how you do that. But to give credit to Dr. Joy Dietrich, Reverend Joy Dietrich, who used to be here, and she and Matt have moved to Florida. She explained it to me because she's the daughter of a Baptist minister. And she said, when they say, I'm a God-fearing Christian, what they really mean is, I am in awe of God. Well, my thing is, say that. Just say that. I'm in awe of God. Instead of this word fear. How could you fear? To me, God's love. How can fear love? To me, it's an oxymoron. I've also heard people say fear breeds respect. You'll respect me if you fear me. It's like, I don't respect anyone. I fear. A professor told me back in the day, 50 years ago, when I was going to college, and he said to us, he says, you know, you're going to come across, in your life, you'll be coming across some crossroads. And as you come to these crossroads, you have to make decisions. Ask yourself, is this decision based in fear, or is this decision based in growth? And I would add to that, is this decision based in fear, or is it based in God's love and growth? And he said, I implore you, please make your decision based in growth. And I implore you, make your decision based in God's love and growth, as opposed to fear. I've known people who have spent years in unhealthy relationships because they're afraid of being alone, the fear of being alone. Other people who worry constantly, am I going to be approved by God? Will I enter the kingdom of heaven? How's my life? You know, am I living according to God's plan? Am I going to enter this kingdom? I mean, really, are we wasting time in fear instead of enjoying all the bounties that we have here? When the Israelites left Egypt, they escaped Egypt, and they followed Moses, and they found themselves in the desert, and they're lost, and they're starving. So Moses prayed to God, and God sent down manna, rain that turned to manna. And manna is like a bread substance, something they could eat, and they didn't starve. And I'm saying to you, this is what God does for us every day. God sends us manna. We won't starve. We always have God's love and God's protection and God's health. We just need to be looking for it. We just need to put ourselves out there to look for it. And I wanted to read this. This was in Daily Word, December 20th. I have everything I need. God, the one presence and power, is infinite and without limitation. So it follows that God's abundance is boundless. I keep in mind when my supply seems limited, and I worry about having enough of what I need. As a spiritual being, I have access to divine ideas. I claim these divine ideas in prayer and trust as they grow in my consciousness. I will see evidence of them in my life. Whether I am in meditation or going about my daily tasks, I keep my heart centered on that which is flourishing. Expansion and abundance are the nature of God. It is not necessary to know how or from where my abundance will come. With gratitude, I step forward to claim my many blessings. And they quote Psalms chapter 65, verse 11. You crown the year with your bounty, and your wagon tracks overflow with riches. So the second resolution I would ask is to love ourselves. Please, people, if nothing else, let's love ourselves. I ask you, first of all, we're a gift from the universe. So if we insult ourselves, I take my hand down. We're a gift from the universe. If we insult ourselves, we're insulting God. We're insulting what God has created. We're children of God, and God loves us. Jesus said, love thy neighbor as thyself. I think we hear love thy neighbor, but love thyself kind of trails off. No, let's make that the first part of it. We need to love ourselves. If we don't love ourselves, we can't love our neighbor. And no one can love us. If we believe in forgiveness, please forgive yourself. Stop this self-hate talk. I beg of you, please. I have a friend who's an atheist, so I'm thinking, how can I get this concept across to her? Because she really talks negatively about herself. Finally, I said, do you have grandchildren? She goes, yeah. I said, would you talk to your grandchildren like that? Oh, no. I said, don't talk to yourself like that. Never talk to yourself. Talk to yourself the way you talk to your grandchildren. Give yourself a break. Some people have said that they fear dying alone. First of all, you're not going to die alone. God is with you 24/7. And this person right here is with you 24/7. Make this person your best friend, please. I beg of you. Now, my definition of God is this all-encompassing force that surrounds us with love, benevolence, health, all our needs can be met by this God. He is the God that I see as everything that is good. So, I married in my second marriage, married into a family, and along with the family came 3 girls, 13, 10, and 7. And, well, she was 6 going on 7, and she was a real delight. And all the girls were beautiful, just cherished them. The problem that we had was their biological mother was schizophrenic, and she wouldn't take her medicine, and so we had to go through trials and tribulations every other month. And so dealing with that, and then dealing with teenage girls, if any of you have done that, that is not the easiest thing. So about 6 years into the marriage, we went to family counseling, and the therapist pulled me aside, and she said, you know, this really isn't working, and you staying in the relationship is not working, and you might need to think about what your future is here. So I waited a few months, and then I decided she was right, and I left the relationship. As the years went on, the girls grew up, married, and had kids, so I had the delight of being a grandparent, which was wonderful. The youngest stepdaughter married a wonderful man, went to Israel, and did mission work there. She turned to Christianity and became a very devout, born-again Christian to deal with the separation of her dad and me. And when she came back from that mission trip, she declared herself Messianic Jewish. And she had 2 little girls, just delightful. So I want to celebrate with them the way I celebrated with the other grandkids, all the holidays and everything. She explained to me that they do not celebrate Christmas, but they celebrate Hanukkah. So I guess 8 little gifts instead of the bigger ones. So I said, okay, so let's go out for lunch. So we went out to lunch. She sat with me and explained to me, she says, you know, Jesus wasn't born in December. And I'm thinking, did they have calendars back then? I don't, you know, what, just, you know. And she said, do you know why we celebrate Jesus' birth in December? And I try not to be sarcastic and cynical, but sometimes with these things you think, oh my God. But I said, well, you know, Christianity is a commodity. It's a service, and you're trying to sell it to other people. And the pagans are celebrating the solstice, and you want to get them on board with you. So guess what? We can have this holiday. Jesus was born, or, you know, whatever. And I'm kind of making light of it. She is not amused by this. And her daughters are there, and she doesn't want her daughters hearing this. And she grit her teeth and said to me, do you know how mad God is that we celebrate his son's birthday in December? And I said, well, you know, my concept of God, I try not to put any human characteristics on that concept because it would limit my concept of God. But I said to her, I think if God were to get mad at us, you know, maybe the way we treat each other, we treat this planet, I don't even think we celebrating Christmas in December is on the top 10 list, you know. Really. No, it didn't go over too much. Okay, so that year went by, and a few other years went by, and then I heard from the other girls that she was moving with her family back east. There's a community of Messianic Jewish people there. She wants her children, her family raised in that community. So I'm heartbroken, you know, 2 adorable little girls leaving. So I called, I said, before you leave, let's get together. We're going to do something. I want to say goodbye. Never heard from them. So a few months go by. And I swear to God, this will never happen again as long as I live. But my cell phone was on my nightstand, and I had it turned to silence, but it's going bzzz, bzzz, bzzz. And I woke me up. So I look at it, and this text about that long, and it starts out, it's Yom Kippur. It was from my youngest stepdaughter. It's Yom Kippur. I need to atone for my sins, and I need to apologize to you. Okay? I said, okay. She said, we were in town when you called, but we were so busy. We just couldn't connect, and we left. So I'm so sorry. Then she went on to say, however, I do not want you in my life. I don't want my kids knowing you. You're not a Christian. You're not the Christian, the Messianic Jewish Christian we want in our lives. And everything that's ever gone wrong in my life is your fault because I associate with you. And she named one thing after another, after another, after another. And I'm reading this and I'm like, what? Now try to go back to sleep after that. So the next day I sat down and wrote something out and eventually sent it in an email. And I sent to her and I said, you know, hon, I'm really sorry. You had a rough life. Your mother's schizophrenic. And in my opinion, your dad's a narcissist. And I was 14 when you left. That's a difficult age. But I couldn't stay any longer. And I explained a lot of things to her. I explained that, you know, the different things that happened were when she was a child. So she didn't know what happened. And now you're an adult, I'm going to explain it to you what happened. And I went through one thing after another. And I said, I know your life wasn't easy. And if there was anything I could have done, I would have tried, but I did what I could. And then I concluded, but I'm not taking any blame for how your life is turning out right now. You're responsible for this. And I really wanted to say, and my God doesn't care when we celebrate Easter, Christmas, whenever. God just wants us to celebrate. But I didn't say that. I just said, have a good life. And I wish you the best. And I want to read from the Daily Word again. Celebrate. If you didn't see this, December 15th, so much of life involves being busy, work, and other obligations. Even the pursuits I enjoy the most fill my calendar and my waking hours. Taking time to celebrate, to enjoy myself in the company of family, friends, rejuvenates me and helps me relax. Having fun in my lighthearted moments opens me up and brings me happiness. In this space of lightness, I can feel better the presence of God and the smiles and laughters of those with whom I celebrate, especially at Christmas time. I give myself a rest from my preparations and join in the festivities of the season. When I do this, I can better take the heart of the season for the reason, which is Jesus and the glorious rebirth of the Christ within. And from Psalms chapter 149, paragraph 3, let them praise his name and dancing, making melody to him with tambourine and lyre.